All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 35 of Top Tier Podcast. My name is Pale Ale Poppy. We got a chosen one here. Crazy week, guys. Crazy week. I mean, last week was pretty crazy, but man, we got a lot of topics, man. For our tech guys out there and for our science guys, for the first time ever, a lab out here in California. Lab in California.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Successfully was able to produce, they did a nuclear fusion experiment where they were, for the first time ever, were able to generate more energy than they put in. And this is a significant milestone. I mean, this is decades and decades, at least, 70 years, 60, 70 years of diligent work just for that small accomplishment. Remember, we're not at the point where we have a continuous reaction that could sustain a city or sustain even the planet, at large. We haven't gotten there yet. But that one small step is decades of work. Now, let's hope doing continuous, having a continuous reaction doesn't take as long. But yeah, we're going to get there. I don't want to stick on that. Gunna got released from jail. People thought that he snitched. People are thinking that he snitched. There's a lot of social media beef and buzz about that. My Hero Academia has got in Fortnite for our anime fans. That's really a lot of people's minds right now, and like what Fortnite really has become. Elon was brought on stage at Dave Chappelle's show. He got booed.
Booed the shit out of that nigga. That was all Dave Chappelle's fault, man. Yo, Dave Chappelle has no... Why did Dave Chappelle do that? I feel like he set him up. The audience that goes to see Dave Chappelle is not trying to listen to no damn Elon Musk. This nigga Elon Musk came out there and was like, what should I say, Dave?
Especially not in San Francisco. They're not fucking with him out there.
Of course not, man. Yeah. I think Dave set him up. He knows his audience. What else do we have today?
We also have Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested. For guys who don't know Sam Bankman-Fried, he was the head guy of FTX. He was one of the founders of FTX, and him and his team, Alameda Research Team, they committed a lot of fraud. They were using customers' funds to trade and do ridiculous trades and losing. They lost billions of dollars. Ridiculous Ponzi scheme going on with him. And yeah, man, Drake also, another one of his shenanigans. For those who know about Drake and who follow anything about Drake, he had a diamond necklace for each of the times that he was going to propose, and then he didn't. I think it's like 40 diamonds. I'm pretty sure it's like 40 something diamonds. Yeah, they're all like engagement ring diamonds to make one big necklace, and it looks ridiculous to me. I'm thinking my only thoughts is you got to be bored. I mean, if I was like, would you be doing shit like that if you're a billionaire? Because Drake is a billionaire.
I don't think it matters how much money he has. I think it matters like how old are you, Drake? That's a childlike thing to do. That's a toy. Mm-hmm. Okay, he got that for himself to have a little toy. Nigga ain't gonna look at that shit. You think that Drake spent that much time, that much money on having a piece made for himself so that he can wear that shit like out in public, have people like, oh, nice chain, like nice necklace. Where'd you get that? Oh, this is designed by. No, Drake got that shit so he could have a little toy that he could just dangle up in his little apartment or his little condo or whatever the fuck.
And wear that shit like 5 times, not even.
I think he wore it at that last concert that he was at. He did a little concert with Lil Baby, I think, in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Brought out 21 Savage. That's the one I was talking to you about, where he had all the women in there talking about 8 words when I think about you is fuck me, fuck me. They was hollering that, bro. The only thing that made me think of, we talked about it last week, the only thing that made me think of is when the women gonna be out on the SZA tour hollering, I fuck him cause I miss you.
Bro.
I cannot wait to see those videos, man. Somebody needs to hook me up with some SZA. Somebody needs to hook me up with some SZA tickets so I can see that with my own eyes.
And like, we're not talking about SZA this week, but something that was on top of my brain is like, we're reacting for those who don't know, and please shame him for this. We're reacting to Breaking Bad. I've seen Breaking Bad, but Nick has drawn it out for years, and we're finally watching Breaking Bad.
I finally got to it.
And we got to the scene, spoilers, I'm giving you guys a chance. Skip like 30 seconds to a minute. Skylar ends up hooking up with her boss, Ted Beneke. And she's mad at Walt.
That's what I said.
So it just reminds me of how you said when she was like, I fuck him because I miss you kind of thing. She was mad at Walt.
That's legit.
So she fucks her boss. And he was just like, when you hear SZA, like, it sounds awful, but you're like, it's catchy. But then in practice, that's some toxic shit.
Yeah, SZA be
like
speaking
in practice,
truth to power
that's some like really messed up shit that she talks about.
She be speaking truth to power for the women. The women be taking that shit seriously. But in all seriousness, let's go ahead and get started. We were going to start this off with a pretty serious topic. We don't normally touch on these types of topics here. We talk about a lot of serious things, but this is the first time probably that we're going to be talking about things like what we're going to be talking about right here. Steven Twitch Boss, if you guys probably are aware by now, it's a pretty big story, was found not more than a mile away from his home in a motel bathroom. And he had completed suicide. And the only reason why they ruled it as a suicide, because I've been seeing some dumbass things floating around the internet, some dumbass theories. They ruled it as a suicide because there was a note that he left behind. This type of thing is normally not talked about, meaning in regards to not only just like the problems that men have to go through, but the problems of the fact, like, because I've been seeing a lot of the statistics that have been coming out talking about suicide and things like that. This type of scenario always brings up a lot of these types of stats and research and stuff like that are just completely astounding. But the one that I've been seeing floated around the most is the fact that there is 80% of the suicide attempts in the states were committed by, or were attempted, I should say. I'm trying to be smart with my language. Was attempted by men, 80%.
What do you
Pretty astounding number.
It's really astounding. My question is, like, what do you think is the reason for the disparity? You know, not only, you know, the high number of men that are doing it and women, but it's mostly men. But what do you think it is? What do you think it is about modern life, modern society, or maybe, you know, anything related to that you think is leading to these, you know, people, especially men in particular, killing themselves at such high rates?
Well, I'm not sure if 80% is completed suicide attempts. I'm pretty sure
even
it was
attempted, you know, they might do it again. I still consider it as a mental health problem that you even attempting to kill yourself in the first place.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you think it's leading to all these attempts? You think it's just current economic times? It's just any economic downturn, or has this been something? It seems like this has been something that's been increasing over the last couple of years.
Well,
particularly with men.
I think it's just like men don't talk about this type of stuff. Men don't, like, when's the last time that you ever had because I mean, depression is, you know, people are pretty open about depression these days. So it's more common that you'll know someone who struggles with depression. It's more common for people to be open with the fact that they even struggle with depression themselves. Everybody that I've been, you know, seeing, like, at the celebrities coming out and having these public statements about, oh yeah, like Twitch was such a nice guy. He was always the one that brought light to the room, always was the one that, you know, everybody looked to and smiled. And then, you know, of course, you see the people on the internet talking about, you know, I never would have saw it, like, you know, the cliche things that we always say, you know, that when this type of stuff happens. But the thing about it is, like, what is the reason why someone could be so happy on the outside, but yet be struggling so miserably on the inside? He clearly didn't have anybody who he could relate this information to, these struggles to. So that's actually, I think, the question, not necessarily, or the answer to the question, is that there was nobody for him to probably talk to. Even though he has a wife, even though he has kids, like, the fact that he was able to bring himself to do what he did. And I don't even want to say, like, bring himself to it, because it's just like it. I was watching, I just finished watching a interview with Charlemagne the God, great interview. Charlemagne the God and Ab-Soul. Ab-Soul just released an album this week, so he's on his little tour. And even Ab-Soul was talking about, like, he had a suicide attempt while making this album that just released this week. And the way that he described it, because I've never been suicidal, or I've never attempted suicide at least. The way that he described it was, it was like a dreamlike state. So I don't even want to say that Twitch brought himself, or that anyone brings themselves to do it. Like, it's a decision that you make. Because the way that Ab-Soul described it, it was almost like it was out of his hands. Like God took over or something like that.
He just, like a fugue state, it got so intense for you, kind of blacked out, and you just kind of You know, you're almost delirious with it, or you're so checked out of life, you just something else took over.
Yeah.
Because I just think, you know, relating, you know, back to what you said earlier, how he felt like he didn't have anyone he can go to, he can't have anyone to talk to. Do you think that's just really men feeling like we have to shoulder everything? We have to, you know,
Definitely.
you can't, or maybe you just feel like even if you talk to someone, it doesn't help, or you don't feel like they truly understand unless they're in your mind. I mean, you could talk to someone about it, but unless they are really like, for a second, mind melded with you, they'll never really truly understand what it is you're fighting. Because
Yeah.
you could say anything to someone, they could just tell you, "Well, you're a man, tough it up." Like, but they've never actually experienced what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
They have no real reference. You can talk about it, and even if they shame you or they don't shame you, they don't really understand. They don't really get it. They'll
Yeah, that's
never,
the
no
thing.
one will ever truly get it.
It's like when you go to rehab, you probably don't want to just be talked to, lectured to by someone who's never gone through what you're going through, had to be rehabilitated, if we want to compare it that way, as it's some type of analogy. But in terms of like men talking to other men, maybe that's what needs to be the change, the course of action that needs to take place. That maybe that's the change that we need. The fact that you were saying like men feel like they need to shoulder things, and we already know the social norms and stuff like that. Our generation is kind of trying to change a lot of that type of stuff, but
Yeah.
it's still a fact, right? When men go and they express their feelings, maybe it's not always the fact that it's just like completely ignored. Maybe it's not the fact that nobody understands. It's the fact that men don't feel like we can go to other men who would understand. Like, you're going to talk to, like, if you're going to go to therapy, for example, and you're talking to a woman, like, sure, like they're licensed clinician. Wait, what did I just say? Licensed physician. And, you know, they might be able to help you out in a certain regard, but talking to one of your homies is completely different. Like that level of like understanding, like someone who's actually like grew up with you, or for example, like it's different than talking to a sibling. It's different than talking to a therapist. It's different than talking to a parent. You know what I mean?
Right.
It brings a different level of understanding, a different reference level, relative level.
But we
That put-
forget sometimes that some people don't have family they can talk to. I mean, a lot of people are blessed that they have family they're still talking to. Same thing with friends. Some people don't have friends they've known for many years. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really
That's
know
true.
in Twitch's case what he would, you know, what he was dealing with. Maybe he didn't feel like he could talk to his family. Like, maybe he had a family, but he may be like, like an inner family, like immediate family, or like distant cousins and other stuff that he talks to. But maybe he never. Some people don't have, because like, you know, you can't pick your family, but like just because y'all are blood relatives doesn't mean you guys are close. You know what I mean? Like, y'all related by blood, but doesn't mean y'all are genuinely friends. You know what I mean? People
Yeah,
are
but
probably
when you
much
look
more
at, like,
alone than we even realize.
At least in this scenario, when you look at this specific scenario, and I think more often than not, most people have support. Like, out of 80% of the men that attempt suicide, I'd say that even a high majority of those men have at least one person that they feel can support them in what they're going through. Wouldn't you say?
I agree with that. There has to be at least one person. I can agree with there's at least one person.
And even if you don't have that person, the fact that like there is no outlet, you could go to therapy, sure, but maybe you don't want to go to therapy. The fact that there's no outlet for you to just express your feelings as a man, you can. I'm not saying that it's not like you're going to be punished for doing it, but in a way, society kind of does punish you for doing it, because the reception of it is not along the same lines, in my opinion, to as if a woman were to express her feelings. If a woman were to break down and cry in front of an entire crowd of people.
Right. But that's
Sometimes-
the culture around it.
Yeah. And
the
especially
cult-
and there's levels to it too. It's like we're talking about not just a man, we're talking about a black man. And black
Right.
people, black culture is, black people don't go to therapy. You know what
No.
I mean? It's starting to become a little bit more
Oh my
accepted,
God.
but
There's a
that's
scene
an
on
entirety.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the new season of Atlanta where the main character, who played by Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, he started going to therapy for the trauma he experienced. I don't know if you've seen Atlanta, but he finally talks about why he got kicked out of Princeton. So it was like a whole like traumatic thing about that. And when he told Paperboy, "I'm going to therapy," he was like, "Oh my God, this nigga's going to therapy. Oh, you
big
really
deal.
enjoy my money, huh? You really?" Oh, he was laughing at him. He was clowning him. He was just kind of like, Like, fuck, you need to go to therapy.
It's not normal, essentially. It's not something that
it's
would
not
just be
really
like, because if he would have said like, oh yeah, I went and bought a gun, be like, oh, let me see it. It would be a normal conversation. That's actually pretty interesting that they pointed out that nuance.
I don't know about the gun comment because I know a lot of black folks who are just the thought of buying a gun is just kind of like.
All right, well, let me not use gun. If you would have said I went and bought some Jordans, that's just a normal. That's a normal happenstance.
That's better. Yeah.
If you went even further than that, if you went and put yourself ass out by buying some $2,000 piece, that's all your savings. You saved up $2,000, everything you got, and you went and bought some designer fucking jacket or something like that. Niggas gonna be like, let me see the jacket.
That makes sense.
Let me rock the jacket. Where'd you get
that.
it from? They're gonna ask you all types of questions like it's normal. But if you say, oh yeah, I went to therapy. I'm actually going to therapy once a week. Oh, what? Like, what? They're going to have a whole lot of shit to say about it. They're not going to really ask the questions as if it's curious to them, though. As if they care.
The older generation is like, you need to get in the church, boy. You don't need to be going to therapy.
Yeah.
I'm playing. But I'm dead ass, though. That's real. Like, that's real talk. In my family, they were much more supportive about therapy. But
no, in the black community, you're completely right,
family,
though.
No. Yeah.
In the black community, faith is what serves as the therapy, quote unquote. In the black community, if you're going through troubles, most black people are gonna just go to church, right, and have to hear a sermon. The therapist tell them, "Oh, just pray." Whatever that course of action, that course of action that a therapist would tell you is the walk that you need to go on alone, like a healing journey. Maybe not alone per se. You can talk to other people, but you catch what I'm saying. Going to a sermon, a person would tell you just pray about it. Ask someone else to change, and essentially what they're saying, ask someone else to change your current circumstance.
Right. But I'm also like, you have to want to be helped. Like, I've seen people in my own life, they just do not want to get, like, they're depressed and sad, but they don't seem like they want to take steps towards beating that illness, towards beating that trauma.
Yeah.
They don't even want to start or even take the journey.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder sometimes that there's some people who are just, they're going to kill themselves and you're not going to tell them, you're not going to be able to course correct or help them or if they don't want to actually go the opposite direction, they're going to do it. They're still just going to go try to do it, even if the attempt wasn't successful the first time.
Yeah. And that's the whole conversation about mental health and things like that. That's where it just gets extremely, extremely deep. There's multiple layers to it, right?
Right.
Because you could just be somebody. You could be somebody like Twitch or, for example, like Drake, who just seems to be having all the fun in the world. Doesn't seem like they have any problems. Though. Has riches, got nice family around him, got kids, you could get any woman that they want, but yet still do certain things where it's like, to the world, it doesn't seem like Drake fucking got a fucking necklace made of all the women that he proposed to, bro.
Or he wanted to propose to. I don't know if it was the ones that he proposed to, but he
the ones that he wanted to, or didn't. There's a reason. The consistent fact in that is that something didn't work out to where that could happen. That's gonna leave some emotional damage. So people like us will laugh at that shit, right? But if you really were to look at it, let's say Drake happened to try to commit suicide, happened to or even possibly complete suicide, a suicide attempt.
It would be very different. You would look at it very differently.
Exactly. Yeah. But the only thing about it, though, is that it's like these are black men. So it's like people look at us in a different fashion of
it's played off for laughs and jokes until it gets real.
Yeah, because it's like there's no possible way that this person can actually be dealing with something, right? He's a black man. He's so strong. That's always been the narrative since we fucking arrived here off of these fucking colonized ships, is that these are big bucks. These are big black men, strong black men. Put all the load on them. That's always been the consistent thing. They don't feel as much pain.
They don't need as much pain,
Exactly.
Medical.
Exactly. And same goes for black women with that in that regard. The fact that we don't feel the pain. They're strong enough to handle it. Because they always try to paint these narratives. I think of like Serena Williams, for example.
And it's like low-key trolling, too, to me. That's like low-key trolling. They don't feel as much pain. Where the fuck did that come from? It's like an asinine kind of joke. Because how do you quantify that we don't feel as much pain? Other than,
I don't know.
We beat them so much and they're still alive, so they clearly can take it. It's like an asinine kind of joke. But we don't want to get too deep into that medical apartheid. But you know, with Drake, there's definitely a deep sadness under the surface. Because like you said, when you look back, and we talk about this off camera, but when you look back on his history, a lot of his songs, like you'll never be as big as Trey Songz, boy was she wrong. Like a lot of these, just we be laughing at him, or we be like, oh, he's just reminiscing. But he probably is actually really hurt about a lot of these OG like songs, like Marvin's Room, all these other songs, like pretty much all of what's that album called? Take Care. Take Care is like the soft dude Bible. It's like the sultry good nice guy.
But
Bible.
even the fact that we say it's
like
soft,
the nice guy anthem.
Even the fact that we say it's soft, because this man, the entire album is just expressing emotions.
It's the indoctrination. It is because that's the first thing I think of is like he's explaining like how wrong he's been done by a lot of his female partners, and now he's just kind of like a savage. Like he just runs through. Drake just runs through women now. He kind of is like on Future kind of time, not having kids, but he's just kind of like every minute. 1 minute he's with somebody's mama, somebody's 40-year-old mama. Like remember he like rented out a whole stadium and had a date with her, and she's like a 40-year-old like mother.
J-Lo too.
Yeah, J-Lo. Was he messing with Madonna, or was he just flirting with her a little bit?
I don't fucking know. I know she kissed his ass. That shit was nasty.
Yeah, bro be running through. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we look at older Drake, and he's more like savage with it now. But older Drake was like soft. He was always talking about like, is she the real one, or is she the one for me, and blah 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 blah. And they used to call him soft. But do you think there's a deeper sadness there that we're not understanding? Do you think
that's what I was trying to hint at? A
moment where he was like, "I'm done being a simp. I'm just gonna be a dog from now on." Yeah.
I mean, because let's be honest, that happens not just to men. That happens to most people. People build up a callus over time of being scarred. Talking to one person right now tells me the same exact thing. Oh yeah, I've been through, and we've all heard it. I've been through a really long-term relationship. It ended poorly, really, really hurt me, really scarred me. I don't know if I could go through it again. What does that do? It builds that callus. You start building up these walls, all these barriers. Yeah, you get your guard up. And so when you're a man, though, and you already have the world that's telling you that you're not supposed to be feeling these emotions, and
you already
and if you do
supposed
feel
to be callous as the default. You're an alpha male,
right?
You're callous. You're supposed to come out the womb just ready to take the burdens of the world, or else you're soft.
Right. Can't express the emotion, shouldn't talk about the emotion. And if you are feeling the emotion, well, nigga, suck it up type shit. And then so you're dealing with that decade after decade after decade to the point where you try to maybe you were aware of that that's not the way to go. So you tried to express your emotions through your music. I'm gonna write an entire album about it called Take Care. And niggas just clowned you and called you soft. You still got put on, like it ended up working out, whatever. But you go through that for decade after decade after decade. Eventually, nigga, you're gonna turn a certain way. You're gonna become savage.
Especially, we don't have the experience of being a rich, not only rich, probably a billionaire, famous guy. You know, extremely famous guy.
Yeah.
How do you find real love? I mean, I feel like early Drake was him thinking he was finding real love, and he was finding phonery and fakery. Hard in his heart, and now he's just a savage with it. He's like, you know what? I'm done being played, because it makes sense. You know, get her a Birkins bag, fly her around, introduce her to different people in different circles. She bounces.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? You thought she was the one, and that happens 10, 15, 20 times.
40 diamonds is a lot, yo. 40
maybe
diamonds
the 40
is
diamonds is all them different times where he was like, she might be the one, and he got dogged out.
You know what's so crazy about it though is that, you know, Drake and Future kind of are along the same type of, at least the way that I've seen people, specifically women, some women, approach Drake, reference Drake. They kind of equate him and Future in the same type of vein, where it's like they just gonna hook up with a bunch of women, kick him to the curb type shit, have a kid with some random ass person, see him around maybe, whatever. But when I think about this type of stuff, I kind of see it as if, like, as a celebrity, when you're going through this type of stuff, I'm sure that you're in the circles where you could find those types of women, but it's too late.
Yeah. think it's too late. His face, like if he was a rich guy and he wasn't famous, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like him being so rich and so famous, like you'll never really know he's Drake. His representation precedes himself. He can't go in a room and just be Aubrey, unknown Aubrey, and just meet someone who's not messing with him just because he has clout, just because he's a come up. You'll never know. I believe there's a deep sadness there, probably deeper than we even realize. Like we see this as just, oh, Drake, he's trolling again. But he's probably lashing out.
Even though it is pretty petty. That is a pretty petty thing to do, though.
He's probably lashing out.
Because he only did that to show up to the women that he wanted to propose to. That's the only reason why he did that.
Pretty sure he unfollowed Rihanna and ASAP. I'm pretty sure. Fact check.
Yeah, that nigga got hurt, bro.
When he found out she was pregnant. He was hard because she's definitely one of the ones on that necklace.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
not fucking allowing the love of my life. I'm pretty sure he was like really, really in love with Rihanna, bro. Remember when he tried to hug her? He was like, oh my God. she was just like, nah.
Like, get out of here, soft dude. Yeah.
He would have.
We talked about this before. Like once he, you know, because then he's dating somebody who's on his level in terms of money and status. She's probably higher than him now, but back then they were probably around the same. And she was just like, nah, dude, you too soft.
Yeah, she needed a little bit more swag. I don't get it. Because ASAP Rocky be wearing them dresses and shit. Not saying that makes you soft, but I'm just saying, like, that's the feminine quality to you. So
well,
I don't really get it.
He's like the old, like, he doesn't just have a drop of Metro. He has, like, splashes of Metro. But they say he, like, rocks it well. Like I said, I have a drop of Metro.
That word always makes me.
I got the two studs. Like, I think
bro,
this is,
piercings are not feminine.
I mean, bro, if I had this on in the 50s, bro, they'd be on my ass.
Yeah, but if you were alive in, like, I don't know, when we're like the pirates, like, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean type shit. What was that?
Well, is that like real history or is that just like some embellishment?
Some Hollywood shit? I actually don't know.
Shit.
I actually don't know.
They actually have the one dangle feather piercing.
I actually really don't know. That's actually a good point. But I don't think that I think there's certain things that American culture has made feminized or feminine quality, but I don't think that piercings, like maybe like nail polish, because like I don't know any men like that just like grew up putting nail polish on. Yeah. That's something that you only see women do. Maybe you could say that that is something like considered metro. I don't even know what that word means. Metrosexual. But what does that mean?
I'm pretty sure it means like you do things. You do things that are traditionally associated with being feminine. Like you do certain things that are traditionally associated with being feminine, like getting
as
a lot
a man,
of ear piercings as a man, or
so
like the guys, like the rocker guys. I guess it can a woman be metro? I'm assuming they can. Maybe there's another term for it where it's like tomboyish. I think being tomboyish is probably like the female version of being metro.
So metro is gender exclusive?
I think it's gender exclusive, but I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. But like men wearing black nail polish, like or black nail painting, like that's metro. Like the rockers wearing a black nail painting, that's metro to me.
I think that it should be like just normalized for people to just live in their humanity. It's just a form of expression. The fact that you like the way something looks, you like the way that piercing looks. Let me try it on myself. I may like it, I may not like it. I may keep it, I may not keep it. I like the way the nail polish looks. Like imagine if people like were like, that tattoo is feminine, yo. Take that tattoo off. That's feminine. That's soft. You'd be like, what the fuck? I like the way the art looks. Oh, that painting hanging up in your wall, that's feminine, yo, take that down. I like the way the art looks. It's just a form of expression. Imagine the niggas was doing that on like that level. Man, that house is feminine.
Kind of feels
sell that
90s.
House, nigga.
I feel like 90s is when they were really on that, like, we're policing dudes' manhood. Like, I feel like people still police people's manhood today, but it's not as direct. I feel like there was a time, especially in school, where your manhood was policed. Your manhood was checked and tested and policed every single day.
They still police it. They just police it in a different way. Now it's like they try to cuck you. They want you to be like a little incel, bro. If you're not an incel, bro, you're not misogynist. You're not. At least that's the side that I see.
How many such and such? That's what I mean by policing.
Yeah.
What were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just think that it's separated between like these little incel alpha male dudes, and then you have the other side. And I also think it has something to do with like a little bit of like our political parties. If I'm being completely honest, I think that more so like those conservative dudes, the quote unquote conservatives, because it's not conservatism to me. It's like all right shit. But like those conservative type dudes are the ones that are always like alpha male. I don't really see any leftist
But I don't
dudes
know how
talking
these
about
guys
alpha
be
male.
acting. They act like they're such alpha males, like the Ben Shapiro guy. Like, I feel like half the time he'd be trying to act like he's just like, I'm a conservative male, a real male. And this guy was talking about wet ass pussy. Is that some kind of disease?
Yeah, you like you
Like,
don't even have a sexual.
exposing himself.
You don't even have a sexual
Exposing that
quality
he
to
can't
women.
turn on his wife like that.
To your own wife, you're not even sexy to your own wife. You can't even be a masculine, sexual, person to for your wife. You can't even be your wife is not even sexually attracted to you. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you're saying the policing has gone online. The policing has gone online with the Tates. It's become like reality show kind of like corporate kind of. You ever get what I'm trying to say? It's like,
it's always
are you
been
a man's
performative.
man? Buy my course and I'll teach you how to be a man. If you're not following these principles and you're not a conservative male, you're in a real male. Buy my course and my consultation.
I think it's always been a performative act of masculinity, but it seems like it's taking even more of a downturn. It's becoming worse. It's almost becoming where it's like, if women find you attractive, you're not masculine. That's what it feels like. Low key.
I don't know.
That's literally what it feels like.
But you think it's like that whole MGTOW
For that
thing?
side.
Like, I don't know how that makes, because I don't watch MGTOW dudes, but what I've seen, I never made it never seemed like they was like, you're less of a man if a woman finds you attractive. I just always thought of it as their idea is that modern women are tripping so hard, you need to do your own thing. Not necessarily, if they on you, just let them know straight up you ain't with the bullshit. That's what I always thought it was. And I don't
But I see a lot of it is rooted in misogyny. And if it's rooted in misogyny, bro, women don't fuck with misogyny. So they're not going to be attracted to you. That's what I'm saying. So if you're trying to, like, I don't even know what these niggas be preaching. Kevin Samuels is that red pill?
He's like their Jesus.
That's red pill, yeah? I know he's alpha male type shit.
He's in that red pill category. That manosphere.
So if you got Kevin Samuels preaching to you, and I don't even know what these niggas be preaching, so I can't even really bring up any type of examples. But what I'm saying,
a lot of what they be preaching is like, if you over 35, you're washed up. You need to be submissive to a man. You need to be cooking and cleaning. You need to be doing all the traditional shit.
Yeah, ain't no woman trying to hear that
provide
shit.
Because I'm a high value man.
Ain't no woman trying to hear that shit. That shit is not attractive. Maybe for some people it works. That shit ain't attractive to no woman. So if you're doing all the things that aren't attractive to women, you essentially are becoming unattractive to women. That's what I'm trying to say.
Like the Tommy Sotomayor dude. He
I don't know who that is.
Shit about black women. He's like the OG, one of the OG manosphere dudes. He's like one of the, like, but he predates Kevin Samuels by like a decade. But yeah, he's like, he be talking crazy about black women this, black women that, and be having sex with the same women he hates. They exposed him. So a lot of these dudes are frauds, by the way.
Oh, we've been known that. A lot of
these dudes are frauds. We've known that. I just wanted to just point an example of like, dude, these dudes being frauds, but they're always policing people's masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that.
But what
really
about
weird...
in a general sense, a non-internet sense? I don't really see it as much as I did. Like, nobody's really.
I don't hang out with anybody that
like,
thinks
what are you
that,
doing
though?
with that extra earring? What are you wearing, bro?
That's because we don't hang out with those types of dudes. Like,
maybe that's what it is.
Who do you know that would ever say that? Nobody.
Nobody.
That's the thing. But if you're in that circle, like I'm sure, like around, and probably like in your college days, there were probably people around that would have saw that second earring and been like, I don't know about the area that you went to school with. I don't know if it was conservative or liberal.
It was.
Like I went to school in San Francisco, so ain't nobody saying it's jack shit to me. I could fucking do whatever the fuck.
Disc spacers in San Fran.
Like the gauges.
You know what I mean? Those like gauges. That's what those things are called. Yeah, big ass gauges.
I mean, because it's just freedom of expression. That's just freedom of expression. That's all it is. I'm so down with that. I think that I'm down with it too. I think that it's all just you trying to be as close to your humanity as possible. Like I don't even think it should be like when you're talking about like when we're talking about like the type of people that we're looking to end up with, the type of people that we're looking for spouses and stuff like that. you should just be trying to get somebody. Like, that's why when I'm talking about these alpha males, it's kind of long-winded, but when I'm talking about these alpha male niggas and stuff, if they were talking about like you want a person who's submissive to your level of humanity, okay, I can get down with that. Maybe I'll listen a little bit more to that. I'll have a bit more of an open ear to that. But these niggas are talking about because the fact that they're a woman, they need to be submissive. What the fuck are you talking about? Like a man can't submit to you? Like you can't submit to another man? Because you submitting to a man when you go to work. If you don't show up on time, what you gonna say? Sorry, boss. Won't happen again, boss. You submit to another man. So that's all I'm saying. Like we just need to get to the point.
Do you think it's always the money though when it comes to like a billionaire? Like, do you think if you were a billionaire, would you just expect submission? From like, is that what like
just because you have money?
Just because you have your money. I'm just trying to get into some of these guys' minds.
No, because I think that's more of that programming. I think that there are women that will choose to settle down with you because you have money. That doesn't mean they're submitting to you. They can be over there cheating on you. They could be over there disrespecting you, but they getting that money. But just because they know that you want company, you want to be like consoled. You want to feel like somebody wants you. She don't want you. She just with you because she knows they know how to manipulate.
Right.
So it's like that weird general shit. But we got to get away from that.
So speaking of billionaires being disrespected, Elon Musk was brought on Dave Chappelle's show last week.
Yeah.
And he was booed. I mean, they was like, get the fuck off the stage. Like, it reminds me of like Squidward, when Squidward was doing a little show in SpongeBob, and it was like, oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Every time he just stuck a hand out, boo.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Elon had a hard week, man. Elon's been having a hard week. I don't know if it was I don't know the specific day it happened, but I know it was sometime early last week. Somebody on Twitter doxed his private jet that he uses to travel. I don't know how they were able to find out his location, but they doxed him. And he ended up suspending not only that account, but a lot of the accounts that were being critical. I haven't been able to find any of the tweets though that those people were sharing.
Right. I agree with the doxing because you dox me and I have that kind of power.
You mean you agree with them suspending that
I agree with them suspending that account because fuck you doxing me.
Well, it's him. Like, it's not them. It's him. He owns it. It's him. It's his decision.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's his decision. Like, fuck you doxing me for, man? Like, I got too much money. People will hold me for ransom. I understand that. Now, the other one's being critical of him. That's completely hypocritical, and we got to get into that.
I want to see those tweets though. No one's sharing those tweets. I don't know why they're hiding them. I haven't seen them. I'd like to know what they were talking about because maybe there is some. That's the thing. Like I'm open-minded. Like maybe there was some validity to him suspending those accounts.
Relaying more information about his location, then
exactly
they should go.
Exactly.
But just in general, people are calling for hypocrisy in general for him suspending certain people that he doesn't like, or him suspending, platforms that are like those quote unquote Antifa platforms, suspending a lot of those head figures in that arena, of Twitter. People are saying it's hypocrisy. If you're so, gung-ho on free speech, why are you suspending people who have a different opinion than you?
It was like real journalists from like CNN and like actual like news covering companies. Like it wasn't just like some random fucks. Maybe it was some random Twitter accounts, but these were like actual journalists, actual reporters that do God's work.
I mean, we talking free speech. Free speech isn't your point, your point of view, and everybody else can fuck off. That's not free speech. That's the opposite of free speech.
Because he was the main one that was talking about how Twitter was becoming a censorship platform. He was the main one. Oh, yeah, I'd bring back Donald Trump. He was the main one that was talking about that shit. Oh, no, I don't think he should have been suspended. Or I think he was talking about banning, actually. Let me correct myself. I'm pretty sure he was talking about banning, like a permanent ban. So the suspending thing, I don't know if he ever said anything about suspending. I think it was more so about banning.
I think it was specifically about banning. Certain guys the permanent ban hammer that he restored.
Which he didn't do. He put up a couple polls. The first poll didn't go accordingly because he asked people. He wanted to see the public's opinion. He asked people when he should bring back the accounts, the suspended accounts, and everybody said now. And he was like, "Oh, I did the poll wrong. It was too many options. I would do it again." And then he did it again, and it was the same result. So this nigga was like actually really hurt. This guy was actually really hurt. I think the thing that was interesting that we were having a conversation off mic about was the fact that we were talking about whether or not Elon Musk is like really like, because he's clearly a hurt soul. Like this stuff, like the criticism is hurting him. It would hurt anybody. You got hundreds of thousands of people fucking trolling you on the internet. Probably a lot of people are like calling for your death if they're like doxing you and shit, trying to figure out your location and shit like that, give your location away. This man is like actually really hurt. We were having the conversation of like, do you think he was like planning to become this brand, become this celebrity that he's become? He's like one of the most famous people on earth right now.
I think a little bit that there's some narcissism there. I think a little bit he likes the attention, he likes the fame, but he has a very fragile ego, as a lot of narcissists do. And I don't think he just has the emotional intelligence. Very smart man. I'm not saying he's not a smart man, but emotional intelligence, I feel like they beat him up and down. They hit him up they beat up his feelings up down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and people just get in his ass.
But he has
I don't even know why he
amount
went
of
on
fans
stage.
that cape for him though. So it's like
that's true, but it's not enough.
Do you think? Yeah, because the hate obviously
one detractor
outweighs
beats
the love.
out 1 million fans. So a lot of people.
That is true. That is true.
He needs
that is
absolute love. One detractor is enough to just ruin your day versus having millions of fans who are singing your praises.
Do you think that
it's more noticeable?
The hate, yeah. Do you think that the fans outweigh the haters?
I don't know, man. I think he has a lot of haters.
On Twitter, it seems like there's a shit ton of fans, though, bro. His tweets be getting hundreds of thousands of likes.
He has a lot of fans, but like he also has a lot of haters because he's a piece of shit. But he has a lot of fans. It's about 50-50, probably 60-40 more in favor of his fans being 60%.
When did this turn of events happen? I don't remember Elon Musk back in like... The only time I remember Elon Musk becoming a thing is when Tesla started.
This is like... I feel like Elon was getting really famous like in like 2018, 2019 is when I first started seeing like a lot of like big Elon stands. When Tesla really started to really get even more famous. 2018, 2019 was like big years for Tesla.
What was happening then?
Really getting big.
What was happening then?
I don't
like, what was
exactly what was happening then. I just remember I started seeing his name pop up more. I just don't remember exactly what was going on in those years. I was just, and remember, I don't know Elon's timeline like that in his fame. I just know when he got on my radar was like 2018, 2019. When you start hearing a lot more about SpaceX. I used to see articles about SpaceX all the time. 2019, 2020, I'm pretty sure it was like the Neuralink. You know, that was really big.
Is he doing any nuclear fusion stuff at his companies?
I don't believe he's doing nuclear fusion stuff at his companies.
Why? If he's the one, he's like the main one talking about we need to preserve humanity. That's because this nigga doesn't really give a fuck about Earth, let's be honest. But he's like the main one talking about we need to preserve humanity and humanity is on the downturn and we don't have enough people here. Wouldn't nuclear fusion, you know, I'm not like the biggest guy, like the scientific guy. You're more so like the science guy. But can you explain, like, wouldn't nuclear fusion, if you're talking about like the biggest engineer, I don't know if he's the best, but he's like the biggest, the most famous engineer on the planet today. Wouldn't that be like the course of action that he needs to be taken?
Well, you would think that would be the course of action because nuclear fusion would literally save us. I think nuclear fusion.
Can you explain nuclear fusion again?
Well,
for me and the audience,
nuclear fusion is basically creating an artificial star, or creating the same reaction that powers the sun on Earth, and it can be done using seawater. You can separate the components of seawater and create. I'm pretty sure it's called deuterium, that is used in creating an artificial star. And they can harness the heat and that energy to just do traditionally what you always do. You harness that heat, and it turns the turbine, and it generates the electricity. The steam from the heat, turns the turbine. That's essentially what happens.
Okay.
So nuclear fusion would essentially it's clean. It's not doesn't leave waste like nuclear fission. And seawater. Do you know how much seawater we have?
Hella.
Literally powered from seawater. So you have virtually unlimited clean energy that would save the planet. You could have nuclear fusion plants around the planet that are just carbon capture. All they do is just suck the carbon out of the air.
Or what? What was the report?
Well, for the longest, one of the biggest things that they've tried to accomplish is getting more energy out of it than what they put in. So for the longest time, they'll put in a ridiculous amount of energy to create the reaction. And then the energy generated will be basically nothing or nothing compared to what they put in. Not really proving the concept of, hey, this could be viable for an actual energy alternative.
Yeah, because it wasn't
efficient. There was a lab in California. This is one of the biggest milestones. I mean, if we really crack nuclear fusion and we have like commercially viable plants, humanity, a decade after that first plant comes on, will literally be somewhere else. Because if we had a small enough nuclear fusion reactor on a ship to Mars, pretty sure it can get to Mars in a couple of months, like 2 or 3 months.
So this energy could be used it could replace any type of battery. It could replace any type of engine. Like, what would they be replacing? What are the things that
power plants? They were replacing like oil. Oil will be done. Oil is done. Fossil fuels is done. Essentially, climate change is we have solved it because you have unlimited clean energy that now can power carbon capture plants. So not only are we're completely carbon neutral, we're not adding any pollution to the atmosphere. We have unlimited energy that can pull the damage that we did straight out the atmosphere, virtually for free.
What are like the main technologies?
Saved.
So you said like cars so like you could change cars. So like what happens to electric vehicles? Like what happens to the engines of electric vehicles?
I don't think they're going to be. I think it's going to be a long time. I mean, we gotta build giant plants first to do it.
How do you store the energy?
You're talking about vehicles. Well, we have battery breakthroughs. So if they wanted to store the energy, that would be different. We would have to talk about batteries, which I'm not as well versed in batteries and what I understand about nuclear fusion from what I've read about nuclear fusion. But if you're just looking from a straight up, just like energy perspective, just straight up plant perspective, nuclear fission is done, oil is done. I still think in some cases people will have, like solar panels and stuff like that, but the energy will be so cheap. That's another thing. The energy theoretically will be so cheap, it should basically be free. You probably pay like anywhere from like $10 to $50 a month, I'd say, everyone, just to maintain the plants. But it's not like barrels of oil. Like oil is done with nuclear fusion.
Oil is already kind of done. What
not now? No.
Because I'm trying to imagine. I'm trying to imagine the world.
We're decades from like what we currently have. Take out nuclear fusion. We're decades from oil being done, and by then we will have done so much damage to our environment. Who knows if we'll even be here? Is what I'm trying to say.
What are there any like common movies, like popular movies, where nuclear fusion is a thing?
Well, I mean, a lot of them are bullshit, but there are some, like Spider-Man 2. They made it seem
that's nuclear fusion?
That's nuclear fusion.
Oh, he literally was creating a sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like the power of the sun. That's my favorite line, the power of the sun.
But it's bullshit because they made it seem like if it melted down, it would just annihilate the city. It can't do that. If the reaction fails, it just stops. It just shirks out. It's like a balloon popping. It just stops. It just fizzles out.
So that was nuclear fusion? That literally it makes sense because he was on the bay. He was on seawater. Well, I don't know if that's seawater, but he was on the bay and he literally was creating a sun. All right. What's another one? Is that like the most popular one?
That's like the most popular one. I don't think I can think of another one, but that's like the most popular one.
That's actually really dope.
I can think of.
I'm here for it, man. I'd like for the world to change.
Humanity is saved. I mean, that's like a big deal. I swear to God, we're gonna have like nuclear fusion. Because remember, if you think about it, like I know we're talking about Marvel before the guys come and eviscerate me. This point is just fantasy. We're just talking. But I think nuclear fusion would give us enough raw power that you're gonna start seeing, like, you know how like Avengers, they have that shield base? Because in the MCU, nuclear fusion has been solved since Tony solved it in the early MCU.
That's his
Iron Man. You're gonna be able to have giant shield bases and floating hotels and all kinds of stuff because we're gonna have the raw energy to do it.
Is that his
Actual
chest
missions
plate
to
thing?
Mars, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's nuclear fusion. I'm not sure though.
How come
I
no
might
one
be wrong
talks
there,
about
but
this
I'm
stuff
pretty
though?
sure
Like,
that's
why
nuclear
is that
fusion.
not like common knowledge that that's what that man is doing? I think that that would inspire a lot of the greatest minds if like the most popular,
I
these
think
movies
it
make
is,
billions of
though.
dollars. I've
Like, I'm
never
actually
heard
really
anyone say that,
curious.
bro. I've never heard anyone say like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 2, that's nuclear fusion. That would be an incredible accomplishment. Oh yeah, Tony
Yeah.
Stark, by the way. It is?
His arc is nuclear fusion. Yeah.
Bro, I feel like that's the type of shit that needs to be, and I guess we're doing it technically right now. That's the type of shit that needs to be like more common knowledge. I feel like that would inspire the next minds to want to actually like, cause you know, like what's the saying? Like art imitates life or life imitates art
life.
or whatever. But I'm sure art imitates life, but I'm sure it works vice versa as well.
But his shit was like, bro, all we did was just did an experiment to prove that it was possible. And remember, when they actually build the real ones, they're gonna be these huge, super billion-dollar plants. Tony had this shit smaller than the size of like
In
an
his
iPhone.
chest.
This, like,
In his hand, in the
there's
palm of his
levels to
hand.
it.
In the
Yeah,
palm of his
there's
hand,
levels to the palm of his
literally.
hand. There's levels to it.
They missed on
Levels
that.
to it.
They missed on that. They had it. They literally had the nuclear fusion, the power of the sun in the palm of his hand. They didn't even use it. Why didn't they use that line?
I don't know. Maybe
They
Sony-
missed on
I
that
don't know.
one, bro.
They missed on that one. But yeah,
Uh,
man, that's why that suit was so powerful, man. He had the power of power of a star was powering his suit. Of course
I didn't
he was-
fucking know that.
Iron Man was strong.
This is a really random topic, but we mentioned it at the top. I kind of wanted to hear you go in on a little bit of this My Hero Academia being in Fortnite. Fortnite is not,
multiverse, man.
yeah, Fortnite is not like on my radar. I don't give a fuck about Fortnite, but watching the evolution of how it's changed, because I saw that we already been known they've been getting the Star Wars. We already been known they've been getting like the Marvel characters,
Dragon
the DC
Ball,
characters and shit like that.
Marvel,
but yeah, now they're
DC.
starting to go like an anime direction.
They're going
so
anime hard. They're going to anime hard now.
I'm only thinking because I'm a futurist thinker. I
One
like to
Piece
think
is
like
coming.
way, way far into the future. When Fortnite is eventually a virtual reality realm, they're gonna have I don't know if you could say monopoly because I don't know how their deals are structured with these companies in order to do these types of collaborations. But if these at a certain point become exclusive collaborations for the video game industry, they're gonna have everything.
Oh yeah, this feels very ready. Like Fortnite to me feels like pre-VR Ready Player One. Like when you go in a lobby,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see all these. You see Goku,
Yeah.
you see Master Chief, you see Kratos, you see Doom Guy, you see a whole
Everything.
bunch of Naruto
Every
characters.
possible reference.
It's like crazy. It's literally Ready Player One. That's literally go into a Fortnite lobby and watch Ready Player One go into a Fortnite lobby. I swear it feels the same. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
I was literally watching a video today when I was trying to research like what the fuck is going on with Fortnite, where it was like the nigga was like, okay, I didn't recognize the character that he was. I'm not a big anime guy, but he was like some anime character, and then he like, you know, transformed into whatever his powers are, and he fucking
The dude
sees
from My Hero.
Superman.
Yeah, from My Hero.
And Superman originally is Clark Kent, and then he just transforms into Superman. And then they turn around the corner and they're like, oh, shit, nigga, Goku? And this nigga gets blasted. I'm like, this video game has completely changed. Like, it's becoming kind of like how GTA is a little bit, where it's like everybody's able to just add, like, it's an entire world. It's already virtual reality. It's just we're not wearing the glasses. We're not, like, transported into it.
But you kind of like, I think Fortnite really is ahead of its time. Like other people have done crossovers, but they have committed. I'm pretty sure they even said they want to make a metaverse out of this whole thing eventually over time. They got the money to do it, man. They rich as hell. Off the backs of mom's credit cards.
Is Epic private?
I think they're private, but I can look this up. Epic Games private company. Private company. I'm pretty sure they are. Because dude, they're gonna make so much. They're already making money.
Well, what other things do they have? Is it just Fortnite? Like what other
it's
IP do they
owned.
have?
Well, they have
It is
their own
privately
game
owned?
store like Steam. It is privately owned. They have their own game store like Steam, so that's pretty big, and they have a lot of exclusives, so you have to use them. They're known for Unreal Tournament, which is a very famous '90s game, very famous. I'm pretty sure they own that IP. But
Is
other than
that
I think
Unreal
Fortnite's gonna
Engine?
be good.
Is that their property?
I believe so. I believe Unreal Engine is them. I'm pretty sure.
So they're pretty much like they haven't monopolized the industry by any means of the imagination. But
Unreal Engine is them.
okay, but they have like an extreme stranglehold. Their market share is incredible. Is there any like what's the competitors? I'm only asking all these questions to you because you know more
really
about
Unreal,
me.
bro. Unreal. I mean, there's other people who make their own proprietary engines, but everybody's moving over. Like Cyberpunk was a disaster because they had their own proprietary engine that was awful. So they announced the Cyberpunk sequel, and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna use Unreal." Like everybody's using Unreal. Have you seen like the demos for Unreal Engine 5? I think I showed you that Matrix one.
The Matrix one I saw, yeah.
Shit looked like it was real life. Like
Yeah, it does.
they got the industry in a chokehold because it's like they say it's really easy to develop on. It's standard. Everybody uses it. It's easy to train people up on. So they got a strangle kind of on that kind of development side, providing the software to make games.
That's incredible. That's actually really incredible. Yeah, it's just been really amazing. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, just to get a little bit of a. Have you played it yet?
No, I played it yesterday. Yeah, I played. Dude, it was so fun because come on, bro. Please watch 3 episodes of My Hero. Just 3. You can drop it. I don't care. I need you to watch 3. Just 3.
It just doesn't sound like a good show.
It's solid. I think it's better than Naruto.
What's the rating?
I love Naruto.
Naruto
it's
is
probably like rated teen. It's probably rated teen.
I don't think that's a good show for me. I think I need a little bit more mature.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, but yeah, let's move. So yeah, man, like, yeah, I mean, I think My Hero, man, it's really fun, man. I mean, like, they have this. You could like every time they bring the anime characters over, they add items in the game so you can do a lot of their moves. So like the main character, he's kind of like a Superman kind of guy. That's why he was next to Superman. He just punches really hard and like fucks up buildings. And when he punches like his hardest, it causes air pressure and he just destroys buildings. So you get this item where you go in the air and like punch people. I saw this dude. And he had it in his hand. I had it in my hand. We went up at the same time and just clashed. I was like one of the sickest moments I had in gaming in a long time. And I killed him. I got up. I was so hyped. I was like, damn.
It's become a fantasy
This is what
world,
we doing,
man.
Fortnite?
Yeah, it's become a fantasy world. I low-key kind of want to get into GTA 5 again because it's just like they've created this entire fucking fantasy realm where it's like it seems like you could do damn near anything in that shit now. That Harry Potter game that's coming out, that's that type of shit too.
That game looks crazy. But speaking of living in a fantasy world, some people think this can't be real life. That Gunna got out of prison already. They think he's snitching. They think he must be all lost his mind. They're pulling up.
I think that we need to understand exactly like when people are saying he's snitching, like. And let's be honest, okay? We're both from SoCal suburbs, all right? I don't know. You're from the suburbs, yeah? You're not from the ghettos. You're not from the ghettos.
When I was a kid, but it didn't really count because I was still very
You didn't grow up in
the
the ghettos, though.
Not really. I mean, kind of. I mean, when I was a kid, I grew up on a street where there was like people were shooting. Like, that's real shit.
Then I'll speak
I was
about
like
myself,
5 to 7
man.
years old. Now, when I was 8, we moved to like a gated community, and that was nice. But like growing up, like I was still sheltered, but like we were in the hood, like legitimately.
Not me. I was hella sheltered.
And then
Kodak
from
said
then
it.
on, I was pretty.
Kodak said it when he was in Calabasas. I'm a suburban dude. I'm a suburban, so I don't know nothing about all this street talk, nothing about this gang talk. I do not try to act or perform as if I do, but. I think that when we look at this case, we need to understand that just because this man is taking a plea deal and the deal looks really nice on paper or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's out there snitching on anybody. Like, what is snitching to me? Like, snitching to me means that you're naming specifics.
Getting out early and getting trinkets, and he's out.
Well, that's just a perk. That's just a perk that normally comes with snitching. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're like. 'Cause to me, like snitching means like if John did a crime and I saw John did a crime and I got picked up as an accessory, I got arrested as an accessory to the crime, and then the police asked me, all right, who was at the crime? Who did the crime? And I said, I saw John do the crime. That's snitching. But if they say, all right, who did the crime? Did he have black hair? And I say, yes. Did he have blue eyes? And I say, yes. That's not snitching. I'm just providing information.
That's what snitching is, though.
Nah, I disagree.
Now, maybe it's snitching if you are you are a collaborator. It's snitching, but if you're just providing information, it's still snitching, but it doesn't get the same kind of treatment because you a bystander who just was there.
This is a RICO charge, though, and Gunna is not the head of this. He's not getting the most of the charges. Gunna, to my knowledge, is on a racketeering charge, which means essentially, if I'm understanding,
they just got the whole
correctly,
label. He's associated with the organization.
Exactly. He just reaps the benefits of it. So he's not the one that's necessarily out there perpetrating all of these crimes. He's just quote unquote an accessory. I don't know if I can use that. I'm not the biggest on like law.
He's just affiliated in some way where it applies to him where he could be
and he gets picked up with it. That's just normally what happens in most of these gang charges. So that doesn't. So when I see that Gunna gets a plea deal, that's not oddly, but that's very similar to a lot of the deals that I'm seeing a lot of these other YSL guys getting, where it's like, you know, suspended time in jail, suspended sentence, some time served in jail, but not that much. A lot of probation. All their deals are kind of like, and they're all pleading guilty. Like these are all plea deals. That doesn't necessarily mean to me that all these people are snitching. Otherwise, wouldn't the case be wrapped up by now?
It would be wrapped up if they got him dead to rights. What else is there to talk about?
I think there's more than a few of these guys that they've already got plea deals off of.
My issue is with the people's reaction. Like I'm trolling. Like, you know, he probably snitched. He's talking too early, but like. People are like legitimately tracked down this man's car and they're throwing cheese slices at it, talking about cheese for a rat.
I saw that.
And I'm like, clearly this is for clout. This is people trolling and being funny. But I'm also like, y'all would never have any type of smoke for the George Zimmerman dudes out here. Y'all don't pull up on nobody's car doing anything, but you pull up on Gunna. It's just weird to me. I feel like people have this weird relationship with rappers. They hear what they say. Not just with rappers too. It's like, I'm gonna go test his gangsta. But you won't go test nobody else's gangster.
I see what you mean,
some
yeah.
random rapper.
That's
weird.
True.
It's like, I'm going to go steal this guy's chain. It's like, all these other people you could be out here robbing. Not saying you should do that. You know, but honestly, we're talking about going back to PNB Rock. They pulled up on PNB Rock, and you got all of Orange County and Anaheim to go rob. But you're going to pull up on some random guy and try to steal his chain.
That's true, yeah. Like, we only go after our own.
Exactly, is what I'm. Yeah, you have no real heart, other than to leech off somebody who's part of a community that's been historically disenfranchised.
Because it kind of makes me think of like, in the same vein, kind of like how we did Deion Sanders recently, how everybody just hopped. I've never seen that type of reaction for a sports coach going to a different team, but. Black people hopped on that man like he was fucking like Martin Luther King saying like, actually, I think racism is okay. Yeah. Like they hopped on him with like vitriol almost. So it's kind of like in the same vein, we only hop on our own. Yeah.
You don't really see that going on in the white community as much. I mean, but crimes are crimes of proximity. So I'm not completely on that black on black because I don't agree with it as a concept. Like, you are going to leash from people who are near you. But I still feel like in general, you don't have no heart unless you really going after your own like that. You stealing from your own people, your own mama or whatever. You don't have no real heart.
Yeah.
You're not really built for it. But that's all I really got to say about Gunna.
I can't believe you think that he snitched though. You think that Gunna snitched?
I don't really think that he snitched, but I don't really know. I mean, this is like kind of like a wait and see kind of case. I feel like we got months before we really see this case resolved, and people really think Thugger is done. So
seems like it. Atlanta is going through it, bro. You got where's Tory Lanez from? He's from Toronto.
Sure. He's from Toronto.
I don't know why I thought that he was affiliated with Atlanta. But yeah, at least in terms of like the cases that are going on with rappers, bro, it's like that case, and you got the Tory and Meg situation going on. And I've been following. I don't know if you've been following
really
that.
Big too, but we're not gonna get into that one until he finishes. But his girlfriend, some people really think that what is his like Meg's friend was the one who shot her, and that Tory's like kind of like.
I think that's what they're trying to figure out. That's probably gonna be the one that's probably what the case is gonna revolve around. That's probably what it's gonna die on that hill. It's like who was holding the gun, obviously. So yeah, I think they were just testing it. We're not gonna get into it because it's too early for that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Top Tier Podcast, episode 35. We'll catch you guys next time.